Okay, so now we're gonna go and then, like Aaron was saying, we're gonna change the font size just a little bit, so to make the font a little bit bigger, and that is in the center pane, right? That's we have the font. So the center pane is when to change the font to a different text. Actually, you know what? I think we should also move this text to the global space, because we're going to change the text from this method here. If you put it in the center only, then you cannot access it from the right or the other method. So let's copy this text out of the center method and put it in the global space. Okay, way up here. Anywhere up there is fine. So now that text, FX text field should be available everywhere else. So back down to our center text here. So we want to change the text, FX text dot. We want to change the font size. It's a little bit tricky. I think it's just set font. Again, if you look at this, it says set font has a font value. Okay, so the font is a font. It's a class, right? So you can't just put 10 in there or something like that. You have to go like font dot, and then we have the font method, and then we can put the size. So you put like maybe, I don't know, 40. Is that big enough? Okay. So let's just save this and run it and see what that looks like. Okay, so that's 40. I think is that doable? Okay, so font size 40. Okay, and since we're gonna use this 40 later on too, I think when we change the we'll deal with that later. So we got the size 40. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is we want to do the radio buttons. So the radio button, as you can see over here, when you click on the red, you change the color to red, green, blue, and so on, right? So now going to the left area right here, the left method, we're going to add some event to each of these buttons here. Okay, so remember how we set those buttons, the set on action. So we click at the red button, dot set on action. Okay. We're going to use the lambda expression. If you remember using lambda expression, right? It looks like that. The E, then the arrow, and then put a pair of parentheses. And inside the parentheses, you're gonna and then terminate that with a semicolon. The inside here is where the action takes place. So when you click on the red button, we're going to set the color of the font call, or maybe the FX text to red. So really all it does is now we can say FX text dot set font, same thing, right? Well, no, not font, because we don't. There's another method, I think, set fill. Yeah, set fill right here. I think we just use this one here. Set fill and then paint. So really this is just color dot and then red. I think that should work. And then import this, import the color under the FX scene paint. Okay, we'll see if that works. If it's not, we'll use a different method. Did it work? Yeah. So when you click on that, it changes to red. And do the same for green and blue. Okay, so just do one. You just copy this again, just so you can save some typing, and then paste it 2 times. And we do the same for the green and the blue. This will be just green, and then the blue will be just red, blue, and changes to blue. So very easy, right? You can also add a button called reset and then reset back to black, but we're not going to do that here. You can do that as well. So if you run this now, those buttons should not work. Red, green, and blue. Okay. And then notice that in the action here, we just do one thing. You could put a lot of stuff in here. You can change the text of these buttons. You can move, other things around in here inside this block of code here. Here we just do one simple thing. Just change the color to red, or blue, or green. Okay, simple. But each of these has their own action or events. In this case, a click event. Okay, so let's move on and do the one on the right, the bold. When you click on bold, when you toggle it on, what is selected, then the effect should be bold, and if you uncheck it, it should be back to normal, right? So let's do that. That is on the right side over here, the right method. So make some lines in here. This one here is a little bit tricky because we have 2 combinations in here, a little bit tricky. So you have the bold and italic. So when the bold is checked and that is still checked, that should be bold. When you check the italic, then that should also be italicized, but the font should still be bold, right? So you have to check to make sure that if it's bold, then the italic should be bold and italic. If it's not bold, then it should be normal and then italic, and vice versa. If it's bold, you have to check if it's italic or not. If it's italic, then it should be italic and bold, and so on. So you have an if-else block in there, and so on. So you have like 4 combinations. You have the italic, bold, italic, and just the bold, and then normal. So look at 4 different types of combination here. So let's do, for example, let's do one step at a time. We'll do like the BCHK bold button. When that is clicked, select the action. For now, we do like E is equal to E, again, the parentheses, the curly braces, right? If you only deal with the bold, then you can say when you click on that bold, and you want it, it's a toggle between on and off. So you want to check the state of that bold, has it checked or not, selected or not. So you want to say if the checkbox for the bold is selected, okay, has a lot of all these method here, and is selected is one of them. If the selected is true, right, you can say true if you want, but if you just say selected, that's understood enough already, right? Because it's a Boolean type. If it is selected, then you want to set the bold back to normal, right? No, is it?
No.
It should be bold, right? Yeah, it should be bold. Okay. So then now we say fx text dot set font. This time we don't have a set bold and so on, so I have to use a set font. And then we have to use the font method. So you can see here the font method has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different constructors or methods, not constructor methods. You want to use that as the last one here. Okay, we have to deal with the posture. Posture means the italicized or normal. The weight is bold or normal. And then the font family, which is the default. If it's default, we just call it null, and then it should be default. And then the size of the font. So it takes 1, 2, 3, 4 parameters in this case. If you don't care about the italicized, you can use the third one here. It's the font weight and the double size for the font. But since we deal with the posture as well, then we need to do that. For the font, I'll just say we do with the third one here, the fourth one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth one. Okay. So the font family, we can leave that as null. Let's see what happens. The font weight is going to be, I think, font weight, right? Font weight dot, and then you have all these different sizes. So it will be just bold. Okay. And the size we said was 40, right? So you could use it as a variable name for 40, but we said that in the global space you use 40, so you put the size here. If that's true, else, then it should be just normal, right? So we copy this, put it here, and the font will be just font weight normal. For now, just on the checkbox. Okay, so if you click and run, so check on it, you see they changed bold and then normal. Okay, change the color red, it should still be bold, normal with red color, and so on. So we got that working. We didn't check about the italic size, so we can do for the italic. Okay, so let's do the same thing for the italic. Down here, we could just copy this and put it here below it. This is for the check italic. And same thing, if check italic is selected, if it is selected, then the not font weight, but will be font, I think posture. Or is it posture? Yeah, font posture italic. And then if it's not checked, then the font posture should just be normal or regular. So font posture dot just regular, right? And the font size is still 40. If you don't put a 40 here, then it's going to affect the font size. Or if you change your different font size, it'll also change that. So you want to maintain the same font. It's just the posture is different. So click and run. Okay, if you click italic, so it does change. If you click bold, and then if you click italic, notice it loses the bold, right? Because and then if you change back to bold, it loses italic. So in this situation, you have to check the other button's state as well. Okay, you say if it's bold, you could check if this state is italic is checked or not. If it's checked, then you also want to say it's italic. Right? So in here, if this is selected, and if italic is also selected, then you want to say bold and italic. right? Else the regular. So here you can say if this is true, right, and check italic dot is selected is also true. If both are selected, then you want to add the bold, and you want to add the other parameter, the font posture, to be italic. A lot of work, right? So actually it gets complicated, right? So what's the other state? If it's true, but italic is not selected, then you want to add another clause, right? And you have different combinations. And you do the same down here. This will be exactly the same. So instead of doing this, because they're similar, then I have the new node down here. You can see I had it somewhere, my note. We could use. Do I have it somewhere right here? Right here. Okay. We can use this note here, and we will share this same handler event to apply the bold one. If the bold is selected and italic is selected, then we just set the font to this. Else, if only the bold is selected, we set to that. Okay, so this is in the note, and if you want to copy this note here and copy it and put it into your code, so you don't have to retype this whole thing, put it in here somewhere inside the right. I put above here. So I create event handler called handler. You can call this, doesn't matter, handle something, it's fine. So I have it in notes in here somewhere if you'd see it. So do you have this? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we need to import the event handler class. So again, right, the JavaFX event, also the action event. Okay, so this is not text. This should be the FX text. Replace the text with the FX text. And these are just for the different types of font combinations. This would be like, this is the font bold italic, so it would be like bold italic. So we have this setting here. The font bold we just for the bold, and the italic just the italic. So instead of having this code every time, you could now and then set some variables here. So we have the font, right? So you can set it so that you have different types of font. So we got font, and then font bold, italic. You want this to be font type, and then just like we have down here, right? You should copy this part here, right? This is the font bold italic. Copy that, put it in here. That's just the font bold. And the other combination is just the font bold, font bold. This one here, you just need, you can copy this again, but you don't need the posture, right? So just the bold. And you do the same for the italic. And then one for normal. Well, actually, maybe you should add all of them. The bold will be, let's go back here. Let's do this again. The bold will be, the font posture will be just normal. Okay, let's add that in there. The font will be, font posture is your regular. Is it regular? Yeah. Okay. It's because that's the bold. And then you do one more for, two more for two other options. This is the italic only. Italic is, this should be just normal. And then this will be italic because that is the italic. And then this is just normal, font normal. And then both will be just normal, the default, right? And then regular. So you have those 4 different combinations. And so now this should work. And both of those buttons will call the same handler here, this object. Okay, do we get this part? Okay, that's fine.
I'm sorry, I'm very slow.
No, that's fine. Okay, so notice this part here, from the E all the way down to here, right? This whole part, I could copy this. You don't have to do it now, I just want to show you. You can copy this and replace it with this, right? Replace it with this, right? That's the whole part for the E, for that action, and do the same thing for this whole part here. And it's the same code, so as you can see, it's redundant. So it's like calling the same event handler. So that's why you put into a object called handler, and then instead of put the whole thing, we just call the handler inside here. So this whole piece here replaced with just handler. Okay, So the same thing with the other button. We just call that. So let's say it's calling on the method, right, on the function. Because it's the same thing. We check the status for both of those buttons, and then make sure they are properly checked and verified, and then we apply the default or the correct type of settings to those fonts. And if you run now, and this should work, hopefully. So if you make it bold, if you italic, and you notice that the font's still bold, right? If you unbold it, italic, and then if you set italic bold, it should still be italic and bold. Okay? And then now you can apply the color, and those will be independently applied to that as well. So what do you think, how are you going to do with the left and the right? So if you put left, I mean you're going to move some pixels to the left, right, you move that to the right. How would you do that? You set the,
program pixels.
yeah, you set the X, I think it's at the X location, right? Let's see. We'll see that. So we got that done. The bottom part right here.
And it's probably helpful to know how JavaFX starts their pixel positioning.
Right.
0, 0 top left
Mm-hmm.
is 0.00.
Yeah, so
if
where,
you don't know that, you might get like have some frustrating moments.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so what we can do is we can find out exactly what the text is located. Right now it's on somewhere on the pane. We don't know where it is, but we can get the X position and the Y position. Okay, the coordinate system. And then we just multiply or add that to that current position. Right? So in other words, for example, you can say, let's see, fx text dot get, like the X position. So you get X. There's also get Y, right? Let's just say if I do this, and if I put this to the console, this is what the number is, if it's something that we want. When I click the left button, so we can do like button left dot set on action, if I'll spell correctly. E, right, lambda. Actually, let me do that. Just going to put that inside here. I'm going to test that out and see if that is what kind of number that getX will give me.
Yeah, and that's good for debugging too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you need to orientate yourself. If
Sure.
you're thinking about things in 4 quadrants, how you might normally visualize it, you might have to shift the way you're thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. So let's see if I run this and I click on the left button. It's a 0, 0, right? So that's not it, right?
Because and that default position, that's top left.
That's the top left. So what do we need to get? So there's another one. Dot get X, the layout X. What about this one here? What does it do? So we run this again. It gets 122.0. Is that something good? So 122.0 is the X position of this one here. Remember, this text here is like a text box, looks like this. Okay, the X position is right here. So somewhere here is from here to here is like 122 px. The Y from here to here. So it looks about right. If I click left, I want to move this to the left of this, so I should be minus this minus a number, right? So I could say something like, so when I move that, then I want to put fx text dot set layout x. Okay. So I could do this first.
Because I was thinking, you know, at first 0.00, I was thinking about like the origin and a 4-quadrant plane, you know. 0 would obviously be in the center, but it's not in JavaFX.
No, yeah, JavaFX is not. It's top left and then, yeah. Okay, so we need to get the current position of the X here. So I could do this. I could say int cur X is equal to that, right? Is it, oh, it's a double, sorry. It's a double. And then now I could just do is cur X plus, maybe, oh, actually minus, let's just do like 10. Okay. Every time we click it, we get the current position, and then we subtract 10. And let's see if that does anything. No.
But at least right now you can see that you're able to access the information, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is the position.
Yes, you get a position, and then you can, I think you can set a translation, translate it, that as well. So I will leave that part for now, and I will maybe do a video to cover this, but we only like a few minutes left. I want to cover the media, the video part, so that you know, because that's part of the assignment. I want to cover that really quickly. I mean, it's not that hard. It's just like you add images to your graphics. So let's just say that we want to add an image to the pane, the center pane. So I'm going to just turn, well, because you add video, we're going to we're going to add video. Okay, the center is fine. We will remove the text of the center pane, and it will replace, I guess we put on top of that. Text is fine. So video, you need the media. Okay, you need the media, you need the media player, 3 things. You need the media view. Okay, 3 objects here. So kind of similar to images. You need the image, and the image view, and so on. So media contains the actual link to the image video, and the book has, I think, has a link to that video, a sample video on page. And that, I think that video should work. If I remember what that video is. Yeah, if you look on page 688. No, that's the exercise. Should be an example one here. So where is it at? Oh, I'm 677. I swore I saw it. Okay, 678, that example on the video. Okay, and the code there, the code on line 18, you see the URL that points to a file. So here we could, so let's import the media first. Import the media, and import also in the media view. I guess we'll do that later. So the media is going to be your video. You can call it whatever you want. Media, video, doesn't matter. And this is the new media, and then this is the URL to the image or the video. If you have in your local folder, just like your image, video / whatever it is. Since I'm gonna use the one on the site here is http / live example dot Pearson cmg dot com / common / sample dot mp4. Okay, so this is the video file you want to play when we load this page. Then the media player is going to be just player, you call it whatever you want. It's again player, new media player, and we're going to play the video. Okay. Then I need to import the media player, and then finally you want to add the media view. So media view is new media view, and then we put the player in there. So it takes you 3 steps, and then import the media view. Okay. This one, the player controls the video, play, pause, rewind, and so on. The video is the content, the source, and the view is the one that gets displayed into the to the page, or the view. So the center here, the center pin, I'm gonna move this one down to the bottom. I'm gonna add the instead of the text, I'm gonna replace it with the main NDV view. So everything is correct here. If you play it now, then you should see the video here. Okay, notice it's really large. It's much bigger than what we have. I expand it, you can see it. This is the video. Doesn't play it because you have to play it using the player to do that. Okay. And just for this example, I could let's click the right button here to play it and pause, and the left to rewind it or something. Okay, so on the right button down here at the bottom, let me comment this out for now, and I'm going to create the right button as the play button. So btn right dot set on action. Okay, again just E, just like that, right? And you can follow the example in the book. If you want to check if it's still playing, if it's not, you can pause it. But for now, let's say we're just going to play it. So to play this, you would access the media player, this guy. But notice this one here is in the set center, so we can't access that. Well, or can we? So you put like a, media with the player dot. See, notice you can access it, right? Then I need to put this in the global space. Let me move this out, and then put that into the global space up here, where this group is at the very top. Okay, and then down in the method here, like I said, play player.play. When I click on it, it should play.
Hey man, players gotta play.
Yeah, let's go. It's gotta play. And then we use the left to pause, maybe. So left dot, set it on action. Okay. E. And then player dot pause. So pretty straightforward here. Okay, so you run this. I want to expand this. So click play, and you can see that it's playing. Okay, and then left pause. Then you play, and then pause. Okay, so that's how you show media in JavaFX. Just three components. The media file. You need the media file. The player. This one controls everything. The view just basically display the view. So the view doesn't control the player. Okay, so the player here controls the play, pause, stop. You can rewind as well. Again, one example in the book does that. But you can have the video coming from a website or coming from your local folder like you have in the image, and that should work. Okay, so I think that's again, review this example we did in class. Review your code again, play with it, see if you can move the graphics left and right, and I will do a separate video to cover that part. And also, when I do that, I should also cover the example that you want to do in class 15.9, how you move the dot x and y position. So it'll be the same thing as moving the text file. Okay, I have I set a few exercises in here, and some of these are pretty straightforward, pretty easy. The one that might be a little bit challenging is, I think, the last one.